Well, hi, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining me in my shop here on June 14th. Another just beautiful day outside, so I don't want to spend too much time in here. But there is an issue with this receiver that I need to kind of settle, so I think that's what I'm going to put on video. Now, just to remind you, I'm not trying to produce training videos here or anything like that. I'm busy trying to sort things out myself in my shop, so you're welcome to come along for the ride. So here is the output transformer that drives the speakers. But wait, this is a stereo. So this is either a double transformer or there must be another one just like it. And look, there's another one just like it here. See this resistor on the top? There's the resistor here. Capacitor, 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 capacitor. It all matches up. So here's the two output transformers that drive the speakers. Or are they? Because, put this out here, way over here on the other end is where the speakers are connected. So my shop speakers are clipped in over here. And this jack, when this is back in the cabinet, plugs into all the speakers. So the speakers are plugged in here, and lo and behold, well, there's two more transformers here. Two here, two there. What's going on? That's what I'm that's what I want to sort out today. The schematic I've been using on my computer is not exactly correct. In fact, it's quite incorrect in this area, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'll take a peek at it anyway. The information provided to me from the owner's photocopied manual. This is one half of the schematic. This is the power supply transformer. Here are two output transformers. Where's the other two? How's this working? What is going on? What is this all about? So there's a resistor here, and a resistor here, 1.8 thousand ohms, 1800 ohms, two 1800 ohm resistors. Are those? So I can see right on it here, it says 1.0 K. This one's identical. Both these are a little bit browned, by the way. They've been running a little bit hot. You kind of wonder about all these capacitors here, which kind of got me thinking about this morning, actually, seeing the browned resistor. But then suddenly, with a slap of the forehead, I realized I've been plugging the speakers in over here. And the question marks have been flowing ever since. Is it possible? Well, almost anything's possible. You know, one possibility, which I doubt very much, is that this is the left and this is the right. I have a lot of trouble with that. It could be left and right one set of speakers, left and right another set of speakers. These transformers are bigger than these. You would kind of think the way they would, and these are plugs for external speakers. You kind of think what they would do here is they would, they could, I suppose, set it up so there's a separate set of external output transformers. This just doesn't make, just not adding up. Here's the two output tubes. Normally the output tubes are going to be located very close to the output transformers, which would be these two, which have a resistor, which doesn't match the schematic. I tested these with an ohm meter just before I started the video, just to see what was up. Each one read 920 ohms. That tells me these resistors are certainly good. It might be reading a little bit low simply because they're in a circuit. They both read exactly the same amount. So despite the fact they're a little bit overheated here, nothing has happened to them. Those are almost certainly wire wound resistors, and they're quite rugged. They're designed to run a little bit warm. So over here we have two capacitors. I can't read their size. Over here we have one capacitor. The size is quite easy to see, 160 microfarads. 160 microfarads. If we go on the schematic and we look, we find a capacitor here, it says 100 microfarads. We find a capacitor here, it says 160. But if there's a 160 here, there's a 160 here, there should be two of them. I only see one so far. Now there's two over here. You could imagine it's left channel, right channel thing happening. Where's the other big guy? Would it be underneath or maybe hidden on the end here? And there's this bracket of nothing. Of nothing. Let's look underneath and see if this other red one is underneath. Did they stick it underneath? Just make sure I got a good grip here. Well, I don't see any big red capacitor underneath here. So things are just not adding up. Not adding up. Now we're listening to the speakers come out of here. Let's look over here a little bit more. This isn't even making sense here. And the reason I say that, okay, maybe I can take that back a little bit. So often on these radios, they mount a terminal strip just like you see it right on top of the transformer. You know, that's what they've done here and what they've done there. So at first I thought, well, maybe only one of these is operating because all the wires are over here, but no, there's no terminal strip on this one, so they've done everything over here. I'm sure if we look we can see wires going here. Wait a minute. So I've clipped on. So what I did was I noticed the wires going to the speakers in the cabinet, this brown one and this blue one, and I nipped them. I left some tails here so I wouldn't forget. So these were hooked up to the speakers in the cabinet. You see one, the blue one is on this transformer, and the green one, here on this wire on this side loops around and goes into the transformer. So you can see the matching outputs of these two transformers onto here. So these have to be output transformers. Now, these are probably the two 100s that are on the schematic. And the thing about these is I think the audio completely goes through them. I think. So this is 100 here. I find this diagram a little bit confusing to look at. This must be this. And we see the capacitor basically connected in the line to it. These appear to be reverse polarity in their physical position here. You can see a plus and what looks like a minus here. Can't see anything, a chunk of solder here. But looking at the ends, the end here is different than the end here. They've got these turn around. Wow. How would that make sense? Plus, these are electrolytic. So electrolytic ones on here are shown this way. The symbol has a open box and a filled box. This is just two open boxes, but they're grayed out. So in this position, normally you're installing a kind of capacitor that is not polarized, a non-polarized electrolytic capacitor. That's normally what's going in there, and that's maybe what this is symbolizing, and this would be too. Maybe that's why they're red. Why would they have a plus sign? And what might be a minus sign? And this one over here, I can see a plus sign. The other thing about these non-polarized capacitors is both ends look the same. When you look at the end of the capacitor, they look the same. Those don't look the same. But two of these kind of in series, and you've created the series back to back or flipped around, and that's you've kind of created a non-polarized capacitor, as I understand it. There's another one here. Wait a minute. 100, 100. Oh yeah, 160, 160. Two of them. Two of them, of which I can only find one. One. What's going on here? What are they up to? So I'm going to go look at the speakers in the cabinet for a few minutes, and it's a great big console cabinet, and see if there isn't some hint in there about what's going on here. It's just really not adding up at all. Okay, I'm going to show you some pictures in the worst way possible, which is just show them right on my phone like this. Now my phone may cause interference on the video, briefly. That's the console on its side. It should be this way, of course. Whoops. And the speaker, you see the 4 holes, and the 4 holes, those are the speaker areas. These are covered in cloth, but 2 of them have been broken through, so someone's had a peek inside there to see what's going on, and I took advantage of that. This is one channel. Now you can't see it. There's another speaker just out of view here. Unfortunately, I didn't quite catch it on camera. So there's a large speaker. This is the smaller one, and there's 3 wires coming to these speakers. Whoops, how did that happen? So there's one wire driving the larger speaker, 1 wire driving the smaller speaker, and then a common wire going back. So it's 3. So they've separated. So somewhere the crossover action is taking place. I'm not sure it's taking place inside here though. It's just wires leaving. If that's one channel, and here's the other one. Come on. Yeah, we'll have some trouble taking a picture. Oh, hey, what's that red thing in there? What's that? Okay, look at this. No, yeah, no. Yeah, I said this might not be the best way to do this. What's that red thing in there? Oh my gosh, there's the other capacitor. They've stuck it in here with the speakers. The one channel, the capacitor sitting on the radio, and the other channel, the capacitor is hidden up with the speakers. Why would they do that? The only thing I can imagine is they just couldn't find a place to stick the red capacitor in here. That's my guess. So there we are. So there's a treble and a bass, if you like, speaker or mid-range and woofer arrangement in there with separate wires. Some kind of crossover thing going on, probably these 2 capacitors involved in that. And what's the purpose of this big one? This big one, you know, in a transistor radio it's common to have these kinds of capacitors right in line with the speaker. But not in these radios, not normally. You don't. So why? So this large one here, that's here and here, you see on the schematic, it doesn't even show it connected to anything. It's just sitting there, and then this is a switch. That's just to add more confusion. So at some point, this switch connects this capacitor, which is grounded, the large capacitor, which is grounded, to ground. Now this is probably one of those crazy tone control things that I really getting quite upset with the German engineers at this point who just go to town on this tone control stuff, and it ends up being rather confusing. So I think that's what this is. I can't be sure. I haven't sorted out the switch. Switch is TAB? What's that say? What's that say there? Who's got my magnifier? So switch. Switch says TA. I would say, well, it could be B, could be a 6. No, it's got to be a B. TAB. So we'll look on a diagram for TAB. The diagrams it might be on TAB. They've got BA, BA, BA. There's an AB thing happening. Where's the T? Switch 1, switch 3. Where's the T? Oh, I think it might be on some more documents. They're in another room now. I gotta go get them. Okay, let's see what I can extract from this diagram. Shows the speakers. Shows 4 speakers. So that's what I saw in the cabinet. Shows 2 more down here in separate boxes and their own plugs. So these are going to be remote speakers. These speakers attached to this plug. This plug is shoved into this socket. That's what I think is going on. This says linker canal, and this is Richer canal. It's got to be right channel, left channel. Canal, channel, sounds like the same thing to me. So just as I have found and thought the whole time, the speakers that are in the cabinet are plugged into this. And this looks to be intimately wired with these two transformers. Now, is the idea that these remote ones get their power from the other side? So the interesting thing here is that these 2 speakers here are on the plug. These 2 aren't. They aren't connected to the plug. They're connected. Well, they're connected. I guess that is showing the terminal strip up here, and that's these 2 wires that I cut. So those 2 wires are feeding off. What I'm going to guess these are the well, I can't tell. Are these the treble? Are these the treble ones or the woofers? They look exactly the same. They haven't revealed that this way. Maybe it's written here somewhere, but for some reason, like, why would they do this? Why would they have a couple of them on a plug? This is what I encountered. I pulled the plug out and thought, well, okay, speaker's disconnected, and then found out, no, there's 2 more wires over here. Well, we'd have to get the engineers here and ask them, why did you do this? What were you thinking? Why bother having some on a plug and some not? LMR. Left, middle, right. Is that what that means? What? How's that? How's that going to help anything? Middle? Middle? What's middle with a speaker? I mean, it means something today, you know, with 5.1 sound and whatnot, but well, I think we can conclude. These are the output transformers. They're way down here. They must get their supply from way over here. What a crazy arrangement. It's just crazy. Then what are these? A big one here, big one there. What are they doing? They're the ones with this got the resistor. And when we look on that, so I never found a 1,000 ohm resistor in here. In fact, you know what I never found on this schematic? Like 4 output transformers. There's only 2. What is going on? Now, it's possible, you're looking at this and you're seeing things I'm not catching on to just yet. I don't know what it is you would see that I wouldn't see also. This came with the machine originally. When this was purchased, these documents came with it. And the owner of this was nice enough to photocopy all those documents and supply them. A good thing too, because the schematic I have on my computer, it doesn't match. It doesn't match at all. It's not correct either. So what? Okay. So what are the implications of this? What's the implication? Why should I even care about it? Can we see that this is hooked up to those? Can we see that? Maybe that'll solve things. So there's a bunch of wires heading back here. Okay, so the signal wire be this gray guy here. Where's he going? He's kind of twisted a bit and disappearing. Yeah, disappearing. Okay, let's try another wire. Another wire would be good, a red one. That's a little easier to trace. Okay, so the red wire is this one right here. It's going. Looks like it's heading right to the very front of the radio. Oh, there's a tone control up here. No, wait a minute. The tone control affected. Partial thoughts here. They're just racing through my head. Well, if that's multiple output transformers, they couldn't all be fed from the same tube, could they? Could they? How could you do that? How could that be done? You need 4 of these tubes to do this, wouldn't you? Like the plate is fed through the primary, and that's where the speaker energy is gotten. I can put it that way. How could you do 2 of these? You put 2 primaries in series. They got nothing. There's nothing plugged in here, so there's no impedance reflection effect back to the primary side of the output transformer. It's in a state quite different than what it would be if there were speakers plugged in. How can these not be output transformers? Wow, I don't know what to say. I guess I'm going to have to go on the assumption. It's a bad assumption that what am I assuming? Part of the picture here is if all these capacitors happen to be these old ones happen to be related to these outputs, and these outputs are not about to be used, they're never going to be used, why worry about all this stuff? Now, there might be a good reason to worry about it. It could develop a short circuit or something like that, even though there's no speakers plugged into it. So there might be a good reason to worry about it. But in terms of the operation of the radio, it would strike me right now that you could take this guy and this guy and throw them away, and this radio would still work because it's working over at this end. So you know, the deeper question is, so what should I do about all this? Should I do anything? Well, this is the volume control here, and it's got lots of capacitors attached right to it. So, and this terminal strip back here is not part of the transformer. The terminal strip sitting here is just sitting above some tone switches on a frame. It looks like a special bracket's been installed. Hold this tube, hold the magic eye tube, and hold up some of these parts in this guy. Here, a terminal strip. So, from an operating point of view, it makes sense to get rid of all these, because almost certainly they're involved with what we're hearing coming out of the speaker. Probably this one too. Now, this guy, this big one, that you have some trouble seeing in the camera, it's hooked up to this output transformer. But the 160 sitting here shows up. There's a 160 on the. This is 160, right? Oh. Yeah. 160. So there's a 160, and we know there's a 160 in the speakers, or what looks like a 160 in the speaker cabinet. These appear on the schematic. That suggests this is what's doing the job. This is overheated. So it could be overheated because leaky capacitors, or maybe the design was such that even just sitting here, this gets pretty warm normally, and that's why this is brown a little bit. Or it's an indication that these are the working output transformers. And what are these? These are designed to just confuse people like me. Okay, you know what, I'm not going to do anything, I don't think, today. I think this is as far as I'm going to go. I've sort of explored this question that's been in the back of my mind since I laid eyes on this thing. And I've just been pushing it off and ignoring it until this point, which is what is going on with these outputs. It's going to remain a mystery for now. But I feel a little better going forward with doing work on the radio with what I've understood at this point. I guess the reality is, as human beings, we go through life with a lot of questions unanswered, partially answered, or answered incorrectly. And somehow we get through life. It's a tremendous skill of human beings to operate in what is essentially a chaotic and confusing environment and succeed in moving forward. That's really quite challenging. It's really a little bit easier to kind of become paralyzed in the face of unknowns and the like. And, we're all different. Well, thanks a lot for watching this video. Didn't really get anywhere. Well, I think it did get somewhere. I just didn't get to the bottom of it. Great. I'm off to be in the sunshine now. See ya.